So Rowan, on stage today at Enterprise Connect, you were a panelist in our first ever main stage contact center and customer experience panel. And you actually had a lot of really interesting comments about AI and its impact on the contact center. So can you share a high-level overview of what you said for those who may have missed it?
Yeah, so I really talked about the power of the cloud and what it means for the entrance of AI to solve what's a very, very hard problem for customers today. And I can relate this back to my experience in the contact center sort of almost 30 years ago. It was my very first job when I was 18 years old. And the hard problem that existed then and exists today is that once your agents take a long time to train and to get up to speed on handling all the different kinds of calls and scenarios that you can throw at them. And I did that for 8 months and I got good at it. I wasn't the best agent, but I could take a lot of calls. And then they said, good, now you can be the supervisor. So I took over as a supervisor, and then I had to work with my people and to make them really good. And the challenge of doing that was that I realized I couldn't scale. I could sit there and teach them one-on-one, and I could be on the phone on mute, and this is what most contact centers do, but I couldn't do that with everyone. You couldn't scale that kind of training. Well, that's what AI is so good at, right? And so what is really happening now is that voice is the new data. Voice of the customer is incredibly powerful in that there are billions of minutes of customers' voice conversations going through our platform every year, 5 billion as a matter of fact. That's an incredibly rich source of data for us to use to train machine learning algorithms to help agents be better agents and to sort of let them do a better job of what they do. Sort of what I saw 30 years ago is finally now becoming possible, that we can automate that step and we can make that experience that a call center rep can deliver or a contact center rep can deliver, whether it's on voice or chat or email, it doesn't matter, the same technology applies, that we can make that the best it can possibly be. And that's what's really exciting, and that's just one area of all the innovations that we have in the contact center.
Awesome. And actually, you mentioned that Jonathan Rosenberg, sitting here with you, he found upwards of 30 components where AI can really transform the contact center. So Jonathan, I was hoping you could share a few examples of those.
Sure, I'm not going to give away all the secrets.
Of course not.
So interesting, this came from the team. One of the first things I did was like, let's have a brainstorming session. Like I'm pretty sure I'm not the first one to show up at 5/9 and like think about AI. So let's take everyone who's been thinking about this and let's just like write down all the ideas, and I put them in a spreadsheet, and it was 35 different things. So I'll take a few examples, and these are just ideas, right? And examples of things, and some of them are things that other people are doing. One of them that's sort of interesting is, okay, well, a lot of times what happens in a contact center is a supervisor spends a lot of time like adjusting the skills the agents are on to deal with, like, you know, queue volume. So, oh my gosh, there's too many voice calls in the queue, let me pull some folks off chat and put them on voice. Like, great, like you could probably train an ML system to recommend the supervisor they do that. So that's like one simple example, and then I'm pretty sure there are probably folks who are working on that today. That's not that hard to come up with stuff like that. But I mean, that's sort of a good example because it's not like this, it's a practical AI. It's not a science fiction thing, and it's something where a little bit of software can help a lot. The one, of course, that we're most excited about is the one sort of Rowan's already been hinting at, which is really this idea of agent augmentation. And that's an area where there's many different AI components under the hood, of course, speech recognition, natural language processing, but the idea of being able to take it so that you can shorten the gap between your best contact center agent and your worst contact center agent and bring and get that new guy, that new person up to speed super fast. That's really exciting, and there's a lot of ways that AI can help us do that.
Sounds awesome. So I want to ask you both, since I have you, like big picture, what are the big opportunities for AI in the contact center? And what's the value, and how are you both working to deliver that value to Five9's customers?
Well, these days, contact centers are still largely sort of labor-driven operations. And you know, the exciting thing about AI in every industry is that when you can get enough data together to sort of get examples of the kinds of things that those humans are having to deal with, when you can get enough of that data together, you can begin to apply machine learning to do predictions and sort of identify patterns and start to automate the work that the humans are doing. So the very biggest picture, for every dollar of spend in the contact center that's spent on technology, there's $10 spent on labor, on headcount. We think we can make that $10 way more efficient. Now, McKinsey says that in the next 3 years, they predict 30% of the manual tasks that are done in the call center can be automated with machine learning. Now, even if you assume that that's a big number, let's say it's 10%, that's a huge number for most call centers, most contact centers. 10% of if you could save that or make your contact center that much more efficient, they see that the opportunity in the customers I talk to is, we would love to take that and reinvest it into creating a greater experience, because they are under immense pressure. Customers are under immense pressure to deliver a great experience and do it at the same cost. Cloud helps with that when you go to the cloud, and that is certainly the first step to getting access to data, because you cannot get AI on premises. It's never going to work. So the whole idea here is move to the cloud. Five9 is the leader in cloud, and we are absolutely doing a great job for our customers. And then the next step is we can begin to deliver some of these next generation technologies to your agents, and there's no upgrade, there's no hardware, there's no systems, it's all delivered over the cloud in a very seamless way. So that's the big opportunity, is the opportunity to deliver a more efficient, more friendly, and a more human experience to your end customers.
You have anything you want to add to it?
Sure, no, exactly. Yes, funny to say it. So it's all about that sort of like, the fundamental challenge, as Rowan said, was really this: how do we deliver this great user experience in a cost-effective way? And sort of, if you think about it, starting at user experience, the way I like to think about it is like, well, what is the best contact center experience for a user? Let's start with that. And actually, it's sort of obvious. You pick up the phone, you call the contact center, you get immediately connected, you don't wait in a queue, you spoke to an agent, they're an expert, they're super friendly, they solve your problem in 2 minutes, and you move on. Like, that's the ideal experience.
When you have to contact them.
When you have to contact them, yes, exactly. And I didn't cover chat and other things like that. For the time you do pick up the phone and decide to call, that's the ideal experience. How do we deliver it? The problem is it's completely unaffordable, right? So the trick is, how do we use AI technologies to make that experience something that we can broadly apply and make available to customers to delight their end users and make the contact center more efficient.
Great.
We hired Jonathan Rosenberg, our head of AI, now 3 months ago.
3 months ago.
Brand new, but he's been thinking about this problem for a really long time. He had a lightning bolt moment when he came to Five9, which was that we have something that no one else has in this company. We have some secret sauce technology and data that we can apply to this problem, and we've got a bunch of incredible customers, and that's the real secret of our success here, that we can apply to this problem. And so I think we're off to the races, and we're expecting big things.
No pressure.
Well, great. Thank you so much for joining me and talking to me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Our pleasure. Thanks, Michelle.